My question with this episode, the biggest question we still don't have an answer to today, was the person in the lab that we saw as a part of this cloning experiment that was in those tubes, was that an attempt at cloning Palpatine? And was that some early version of Snoke? Or was it a completely different project?
Again, we don't know the answer.
I don't know.
But it does make sense that the Empire would try to build a person using the midichlorians and try to exploit that as much as they could.
Yeah.
To build like a weapon.
Yeah. It was a lab, supposed cloning. I don't know, man. I haven't
You gotta take a
delved
prediction,
too
but
deep
if you
in.
had to take a prediction, because you're a podcast host where we do these things, you gotta say yes or no with everything we know. Someone's making you give a single answer. What are you thinking?
I just think that was a nobody that they're trying to perfect their cloning technology. And it didn't work on that one. Maybe it did. But I kind of see it as, oh, that's a failed experiment, but they got a bunch of others in the background that you don't see.
Interesting. Because, yeah, they did talk about there was like one person, unfortunately, in this episode, they said, unfortunately, didn't make it through the testing. So they lost that person. They went back to talking about, Baby Yoda and said, well, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to find anything else with a higher M count than that. So I personally still very much so believe that's an attempt at Palpatine. And that's why they need this high metachlorian count to give this and that's the whole thing, right? Because we learned through, I think, some of the books that Palpatine casts out the most perfect clone he had, which was Rey's father. Because even though he was able to live on his own and function as a real person and be independent and everything else, didn't have to live on tubes or anything, he wasn't a Force user. And Palpatine was just infuriated by that. So he kicked him out, sent him on his way, and again ended up having a daughter, Rey, who had unprecedented Force abilities. So that's why he put her in hiding, which I think makes a lot of sense when you're really focusing on like whatever that clone of Palpatine was. Maybe there's some of Palpatine. I'm sure there's still some Palpatine DNA, which is, why he's still directly related to her. But you also probably have Baby Yoda blood and all these other things. So it helps make sense why Rey is just off the charts. Like day one, bringing in, lightsabers and everything else. That stuff that fans were so up in arms about. If that's true, well, that solves that plot hole. So I very firmly believe that was an attempt at Palpatine.
And you got all that from Rise of Skywalker. What a wonderful movie. I'm glad it lays it out like that. And so this does it for you. This nullifies Rise of Skywalker for you.
I think Rise of Skywalker is a fantastic film if you've had 10 years of films leading up to it, like Avengers Endgame. And unfortunately, Rise of Skywalker did not give itself enough content leading into that movie for it to be able to stand up on its own, which is why it falls. It's too heavy for a show that is propped up on little sticks.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. We had a whole episode talking about that movie.
It falls on top of itself, whereas The Mandalorian does not. It's just solid throughout.
I hope that in this next season we do get a couple more breadcrumbs from this storyline. Like, is it like if it's Snoke or Palpatine, or if Snoke was being built to bring Palpatine back, or whatever that math equation is? Like, I want to know more about it because we need to figure out how somehow Palpatine returned.
Somehow.
Good feeling about Duel of the Ranks? Then punch it down below to subscribe so that you never miss our latest ranks and hot takes from a galaxy far, far away. This is the way to some of the best Star Wars content out there. So, do or do not. There is no try, but do yourself a favor and do it.